Hello, welcome to another Sonic Lab presentation. We've got Luke here from Modal Electronics. We just reviewed the Skulpt synth, which was a Kickstarter project for you. And you've just come over with yet another synthesizer you're releasing.
Yes, we're on a bit of a roll. I've brought the CraftSynth 2.0 here, second generation.
Right, so this is moving on from the original CraftSynth, which we can see on the screen behind us, which is more of a sort of DIY, snap together yourself type of thing. I mean, it had a really big sound, but perhaps didn't fit everybody's needs, right?
Yes, people were worried that it wasn't very robust. It wasn't exactly backpackable.
Right, so this one is a completely different affair. So yeah, what have we got there? We've got
full 5-pin DINs, and we've got a sync in and out.
Okay.
Like we did on the Skulpt, the headphones and line out as well.
And this will run off AA batteries?
3 AAs.
3 AA batteries. And we've got the same keyboard layout, which is a scaled keyboard layout rather than a straight.
Yes, there's slightly more notes on this one, it's 8 notes, but you can configure the scales, so you know it suits.
It's got the same sort of styling as Skulpt,
yes,
but more of the synth engine from Craft 2. These are all rotary encoders, endless encoders, are they?
Endless encoders, yes. So they'll show you your parameter value on the.
Right, okay. And will these transmit MIDI as well?
Yes, yep. So you've got, with the shift mode, 24 cc's.
Okay, so USB micro is audio or just MIDI and power?
Not audio on this one,
right?
But it is USB MIDI.
Okay, well let's have a listen. Is that oscillator sync I'm hearing?
Yes.
And that sounds like it's got the delay from, well, similar delay to, but is that the delay from Skulpt?
It's very similar, yes. So you can modulate the time of that.
Right, nice. So in terms of the structure, this is a mono synth, right?
It is, yeah, it's one voice.
And it's got the same oscillator groupings like on Skulpt. On Craft, the original Craft, you had two, was it four oscillator groups?
So it's 8 oscillators per voice, grouped into 4 on wave 1, 4 on wave 2.
And it's the same, so you sweep through the VA waves, which is what, sine, triangle?
Sine, triangle, square, saw.
Right, okay. And what about the filter, same filter?
So we've given the filter an upgrade from CraftSynth. That's closer to the one in Skulpt now.
Oh, okay, so it does that thing where it goes low pass, band pass, high pass.
So it's morphable and modulatable. And yeah,
does it have that same? Does it have the harmonics? Have you got something with the harmonics? That was something that was really I really liked about the Skulpt filter. So it's got a similar sound. So yeah, it picks out those nice harmonics. Has that got any driver? It's got the same distortion as well, has it?
It does, yes. So you can add that in.
Oh, nice. So I notice on here, the original Craft didn't have full ADSR. This has got full ADSR control.
It does, yeah. Full ADSR in the panel. You needed to use the app for that previously.
Right, okay. So this is, and there are 3 envelopes with this.
Yes, yes. So there's a little bit more modulation in this one. There was only 1 LFO before.
Right.
You've got 2 LFOs, and you've got a mod envelope as well as your AEG and FEG.
Right, okay. But each with a separate or dedicated ADSR control.
Yes.
So is there any kind of sequencing or arpeggiator going on here?
There is. There's a sequenced arpeggiator, which is sort of both. It's probably easier if I show you what's going on. So if I put 1 note into the arpeggiator.
Right, it'll just arpeggiate across the notes you've selected.
Yeah, and then if I put in 2 octaves.
Right, okay.
So you can create
it's like a cross between the two almost. You can put rests in there as well.
You can, yes.
Right.
So, so if I...
Jazzy. Right, so you could do rhythmic kind of variants as well. So back to the oscillator models. This has got additional banks of wave tables, is it?
Yes. So it's not just got the virtual analog waves in there. We've got 40 waves total in 8 banks.
Oh, okay. And where do they come from? What do the wavetables sound like? Because I mean, some wavetables can be a bit glitchy, so I wouldn't mind hearing the transitions.
Okay.
If that's all right.
If I'll just initialize a patch. So we've got the.
So that's the VA waves through sine, triangle, saw, square, yeah, pulse width.
No.
No, not pulse
not there. Not
okay.
That's somewhere else. We'll talk about that one in a bit.
Okay.
But then, so if I want to change the bank, you can individually select the bank for each wave. So we've got some 002 waves on there.
All right, interpolation's good.
Yeah, so you can smoothly blend between them and get pretty interesting morphing textures.
Nice.
We've got a mathematically generated bank of quite sharp,
interesting
waves.
So we should point out, I guess, at the outset, this is a prototype, so it's a machine-made prototype. So what, 3D printed or whatever. So, but this is a representation of the final thing. But I guess it's not. Is it finished firmware or finished? I guess the patches aren't all done
It's
yet.
not finalised, but we're getting close. We're at the point of we've got multiple options for things and picking, so like finalising the oscillator banks and that kind of the way.
So CraftSynth 2 is going to be another Kickstarter for you, right?
Yeah.
Any particular reason you're going down that route?
Well, we did that for Skulpt and it worked really well. We managed to sell to a whole bunch of people we wouldn't normally have access to, Japan, other far-flung parts of the world. Right. And the customers could have input before we finished it.
Oh, right, so they actually suggested things?
Yeah. Patch randomization, polychain, I believe, were both from the customers.
And so will you be able to, I mean, can you buy your stuff in the store still, or is it just on, you're just
Yeah, it's not going to be, so now Skulpt is going to dealerships, and it will go the traditional routes, but just to start with, it's a really nice way of going.
So back to the synth again.
Yep.
What's the deal with the modulation side of things? Because I think the Skulpt has a modulation matrix. I can't remember if Craft had originally had a
No, it had the LFO, and you could route that to one thing.
Right.
So we've kind of carried that on, but you've got more sources. So it's every source has a destination, and you've got the three LFO1, LFO2, MEG, and then you've got the note, velocity, mod wheel, aftertouch, and expression.
And they can all be routed to another destination.
For the last 5, you will need to configure those on the app.
Oh, right, because so the app comes, is it the same? It's going to be Android, iOS,
Yes, it will
desktop.
be part of Modal app, so across all major platforms.
Okay. So what about the other thing? You said there was no pulse width modulation.
No. We have 16 oscillator modifiers on here. So that's separate from modulation, and it's different ways for the oscillators to interact with each other. So that's where you find your FM, AM, ring mod, any wave shaping, pulse width modulation, that kind of thing.
Have you got any patches which demonstrate any of that stuff?
Sure, yeah.
So that sounds like hard sync?
Yes.
That's nice.
So that's using a bit of FM, quite a subtle.
And when you, I guess with these oscillators, have you got the same spread thing that goes from sort of unison detune through to the fixed chord intervals?
Yes, yeah we do. So unison is on, so that's about it. And then unison, we've got some...
And then octave unison, octaves and fifths by the sound of it.
Into subs.
Nice.
That's interacting with a bit of cut-off modulation.
And you've got some chord, I did hear, I'm sure I heard earlier, a chord patch flyby.
Yes, yeah.
So the chord patch is fixed intervals between the oscillators, rather than it being polyphonic, but it sounds quite polyphonic.
Yes.
Oh, that's very charming.
So quite dark, but you can get those stabby house chords, that kind of anything with a fixed chord.
Right, absolutely.
You can kind of cheat that in, and with the oscillator detune as well, you can kind of detune them even more and get some more complex
extra width.
things.
And the spread is actually a mono thing. It's not a stereo.
No, it is not stereo.
Okay.
On this one.
Have you got another couple of sounds?
Sure.
Is that sync? It sounds like doesn't sound like quite the same.
Yeah, it's a little bit softer, so that's the windowed sync. So it's got the same kind of harmonic content, but we've windowed out the hard click that you would normally have from hard sync. So it's a little bit more...
That's a term I've never heard of. Is that something you've patented yourselves, or is it an existing technique?
It's not patented, but I've not heard it before.
So let's have a couple more patches.
Sure. So that's some of the formanty waves, I believe, being modulated between.
Oh, that's a square wave mod as well, isn't it? By the sound of it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that sync or is that wave shaping?
So I believe that is morphing through the formant bank.
Ah, okay, which is one of the additional wavetable banks.
Yeah.
So is there going to be an opportunity? I mean, wavetable. Whenever you mention wavetable, people go, "Can you make your own wavetables?"
Yes. No, unfortunately not.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we've done some testing, and actually having them curated in such a way that it sounds good when you modulate between them is quite key.
So any more patches?
Yeah.
That's got the obligatory dubstep vibe to it, but is that they're using the because I remember one of the LFOs, or the LFO could be tied to the root note. That sounds like it's speeding up and slowing down.
So LFO2 will track.
That's in audio rate, but in sub audio rate, but it'll go higher, won't it? That's quite nice, actually. Kickstarter wise,
yes.
I'm guessing this is going to be a little bit more expensive than the original Craft because there's more to it, right?
Yeah. It's £129.
Okay.
That's the price we're aiming for. It's got a few more bells and whistles though.
And you're going to be running this over Christmas period, right?
Yes, running it over Christmas. It will still be live after Christmas is finished. In case you want to.
In case you wanted to trade in one of the Christmas presents you didn't want for something you do want. Well, that's fair enough. Okay, well, Luke, thank you very much for coming in and showing us. Perhaps you can play us out with a couple more sounds. But in the meantime, if you want to check out where the Kickstarter launches, because I'm not sure when this video is going out, you can go to modalelectronics.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
Luke, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
See you next time.